Hello again, and welcome to this tutorial of Gurrloth, the second encounter in Gilded Prophecy. This is more commonly known as the Simon Says fight. Every mechanic that Gurrloth will use in this encounter will be emoted across your screen. In comparison to Onrock, this is a relatively much easier fight. This isn't the first time that we've seen Tryon lead off with a strong boss, only to follow it up with a much easier boss, as we've seen in Greenscale's Blight with Oracle coming after Duke and Infiltrator. Similar to Onrock, this fight will require 2 tanks. We use 3 healers and 1 support. Tank number 1 will be on Gurrloth the whole time, and tank number 2 will pick up the ad as it spawns throughout the fight. Alright, let's talk about some of the mechanics. First, jump little fools. Gurrloth is going to be emitting a pulse that you have to be in the air for when this passes through you or you take damage. So when he emotes this on the screen, it doesn't mean you start jumping right away. You need to wait for his cast bar to fill up and then time this ability so that when the pulse passes through you, you're in the air and not on the ground. Second, he will emote on the screen saying, "This player will do nothing or all suffer." So basically it's one of those abilities where no one does anything. It's just like on War Master, except over here, instead of healing the boss, you're going to do an AoE damage which hurts the entire raid. So when you see your name across the screen and you see player will, so-and-so will do nothing or all suffer, just don't do anything until the debuff wears off. Third is Dare You Gaze Upon the Orb of Power. This is basically the same thing that Ilium does, the last boss in RD. Just look away from the boss and just keep an eye on the boss while he's channeling the spell. Once the spell is finished channeling, you can go back to what you were doing and you can face the boss. Fourth is called Run Little Fools. Just run around until the debuff wears off. Throughout the fight, Gurrloth will emote. Gurrloth gathers the strength of the earth and focuses on player. This will always be used on your main tank, tank number 1, that's on Gurrloth. It's basically a huge, massive hit that the tank takes, and either the tank has to pop a cooldown or one of the healers have to pop a cooldown on tank in order to survive through this ability. The ability is called Boulder of Destruction. It looks like it's on a 60-second cooldown, where he pops it once every minute. Finally, the last emote Gurrloth will do is called Say Hello to My Friend, Little Ones. This is where he'll spawn an ad with roughly around 150,000 HP. Tank number 2 will pick up this ad and tank it as far away as possible, because when this ad is tanked next to the boss, it does give the boss a buff. This ad must be a DPS priority, for if allowed to live long enough, it will spawn its own ad called Friend of a Friend, that has significantly more HP and deals a lot more damage. If you allow this ad to spawn, it will most likely cause a wipe. There are 2 mechanics that are not emoted in this fight. First, it's called Exploding Ground. It's an AoE that he puts on the ground. It's a yellow AoE. It's really simple, just don't stand in it when it's on the ground. Second is a tornado phase. It happens throughout the fight, and as the fight goes on, more and more tornadoes come out. Just have to avoid the tornado. If you get caught in it, it will shoot you up in the air and you will take falling damage. Here are some tips to help you throughout the fight. Every so often the boss is going to target a player and he does an ability called Exploding Crystal. Basically just shoots a random earth bolt at a player. Doesn't do a lot of damage, however this spell is interruptible. There's nothing else that's interruptible in this fight, so if you can, your DPS, go ahead and interrupt it if your interrupt is not off cooldown. It might just save a player's life if their HP is low from failing to do another mechanic throughout the fight. And as a purifier in this fight, Board of Ancestors, Healing Flare, and Healing Breath are going to be some of the most strongest heals you'll have. As you can tell, between jumping, running, there's not a lot of times where you can stand and cast a 3-second heal. So shielding players who are taking damage, top them off with a healing breath or healing flare is really helpful to save people's lives, especially considering that your other healers who are probably casting won't be able to do a lot while they're running or jumping. I hope you guys found this tutorial to be helpful. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments, and good luck to you guys in this fight.